Immanuel Quickley ties his career high 40 points on 13 shots. The Raptors whoop the Warriors for the most part. Let's go to the film room.
The only thing that's originally filmed is that and I've studied older films and tried to figure out how I got that impression. I was getting meetings right in the cutting room.
The unique thing about film is an art form
exactly.
is the editing.
It was a perfect start and a perfect game for Immanuel Quickley, who dropped 40 points on 13 shots. He made 7 of his 8 threes and also had 10 assists. I thought the way that he started this game was excellent because he was working off of the catch. And so as you see here, knocks down this catch and shoot 3. In transition once again, they find him, knocks down the catch and shoot 3. The Raptors also started Grady Dick in this game, and so that provided another level of spacing. Watch as Draymond Green and Guy Santos mess up on covering Grady Dick, and so that creates a wide open opportunity for Immanuel Quickley here, and that's exactly what happens. Quickley, splash. And now, at this point, Quickley has rhythm in this game. Flare screen for Quickley here off of Brandon Ingram, and then he knocks down the catch and shoot 3. I also thought working off of Jamal Shead was really important for Quickley, who was able to work off of the ball more often in this game and created a lot of easy opportunities for him. So Shead and Scotty flow into a pick and roll, and now Moses Moody, as the weak side guy, has to tag the roller. That creates a wide open opportunity for Immanuel Quickley on the weak side there, and he knocks down this 3. Again, Shead in transition does a really good job of assessing his options. No Quickley is hot, and he knocks down this corner 3. And as I mentioned, off-ball stuff is very important, not only because of his off-ball gravity as a shooter, but because he's good at making decisions off of the go, on the catch. And so right here, again, a Shead-Scotty pick and roll, and watch as Grady Dick and Immanuel Quickley are going to run an action here to really make it difficult for him. So Quickley pops out, right? And this is a perfect opportunity for him to make a play because Podziemski is running out to contest him. He's obviously knocked down a couple of threes. IQ is always going to draw a lot of help and a hard closeout. And so Quick can make decisions, right? He can attack this closeout and make a play. And that's exactly what happens. Guy Santos is forced to pick up. He's out of position, and he draws a foul. Working off of movement, right? So this is what made RJ Barrett so successful for the Raptors and how he adapted to his style. It was because he was catching the ball on the go. And that's exactly what Immanuel Quickley does here with this pick and roll situation. Bursts to the basket, finishes with the left. Really tough. A similar situation here. Good job by Scotty Barnes to wall off Buddy Hield, and Quickley again catching on the move. IQ also shot 11 free throws tonight, and a lot of that was working off of movement. So again, catching this ball, attacking the closeout, and then getting the defender off the spot and drawing a foul. Of course, he had some self-creation opportunities as well, and this is always great for IQ to be able to stretch his legs as a creator. Here, he runs into a guard-guard pick and roll, attacks Podziemski, gets downhill, and hits the floater. Same situation here, guard-guard pick and roll, and then they flow into a pick and roll with him and Scotty Barnes. I thought him and Scotty had a really good connection tonight. A lack of a true rim protector. You know, Draymond Green is obviously a very, very elite defender, but no real size from the Warriors, and so Quickley was able to calmly get Podziemski under jail. Good seal by Scotty, and a good finish by IQ. And this is just really good self-creation. Against Steph, one-on-one, working, gets his spot, gets separation, knocks down the shot. And so, folks, that was by far Immanuel Quickley's best game as a Toronto Raptor. As we welcome you inside the film room, the Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors, who are without Jimmy Butler, who is out with an ACL tear. They beat them 145-127. Not a ton of defense played in this game. The Raptors shot 61% from 3. They knocked down 21 threes. It was their best three-point shooting performance of the season. And I bet you Kirthika has a stat about how great of a three-point shooting game this was compared to the rest of the league, because it was truly remarkable what they did. Obviously, a huge part of that is Immanuel Quickley. 40 points. 13 shots. His true shooting percentage of 112.1% is the best in NBA history for a 40-point game. He just had one of the most efficient 40-point games in NBA history. That truly is incredible. And I know Quickley has been a conversation point for Raptors fans. We have had on this show, we've talked ad nauseum about Quickley, his warts, his incapabilities, the things that he lacks. But what he truly is a remarkable off-ball player. Remarkable, genuinely remarkable. It's what got him Sixth Man of the Year nominations with the New York Knicks. It's what gave the Raptors the confidence to trade for him and trade OJ Anunoby for Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. The reason that they did that was because they believed that the off-ball repertoire that he had was it was a conduit for creating for other players, and that he could very easily, much like Fred VanVleet, much like Kyle Lowry, play off of the ball next to Scotty Barnes in an elite way, and hopefully he develops the on-ball aspects of his game as a playmaker, pick-and-roll player, whatever. That aspect, the latter, has not developed or progressed as much as most Raptors fans would like. Quickley has had an inconsistent season. Quickley has had an inconsistent start to his Raptors tenure. But games like this provide you with a glimpse of what his potential is and what caliber player he can be, especially when he's slotted into his correct role. And I thought what the Raptors did tonight, especially with Jamal Shead starting, it allowed for Quick to play off of the ball more often. You notice that in all of the clips that I showed you from his three-point shooting, from his 7 threes that he made tonight, every single one of them was off of the catch. And of course, the early ones in transition helped him build rhythm, helped him build confidence in his shot. But overall, you see how much more of a threat he can be when he is attacking a tilted defense, and he's able to impose his will as a guy who can settle into that mid-range area of the floor with his floaters, with his drawing foul abilities, and generally his three-point shot. This is the Immanuel Quickley that was promised, folks. And of course, I know a lot of the conversation, truthfully, a lot of the conversation, and I know people are going to be in the comments being like, man, you've been very hard on Quick. Don't switch up now. It's not about switching up. It's about contextualizing how he can be successful on any given night. I am a huge Immanuel Quickley fan. Huge. And the reason I'm a huge Immanuel Quickley fan is because when he was first traded to the Raptors, I was like, man, this guy has all-star level potential if he really leans in on what he's good at as an off-ball scorer. I'll give you an example of this. The Sixers right now are leaning into more off-ball actions for Tyrese Maxey. He's running off of screens more often. He's running as a spot-up player more often. They're running him through multiple pin downs and multiple dribble handoffs to get him moving without the ball, making his life easier. Tyrese Maxey is having his most efficient scoring season of his career. He's averaging 30 points. He was just named an all-star starter. There is no shame in being an elite off-ball scorer. There is no shame in that. Steph Curry is the greatest in the world, the greatest in NBA history at it. Tyrese Maxey is probably the second best player in the NBA at it. I truly believe Immanuel Quickley can be one of the best off-ball scorers in the NBA. That is the potential that I believe that guy has. Of course, you want to see him. He had 10 assists tonight. Really great playmaking game from him. I thought his poise in that fourth quarter, and we'll get into the recap here a little bit, but his poise in the fourth quarter was excellent. The Raptors were losing that game. Jonathan Kuminga came in and provided the Warriors with a huge punch. Buddy Hield came in and provided the Warriors with a huge punch. Pat Spencer did the same. And so the Warriors cut into the 30-point lead of the Raptors and made it a bit of an interesting game. But Quickley came in, settled the team down, played with poise, got to the free throw line, and was able to really just basically quell any issues that the Raptors had, calm the storm, if you will. And it was awesome. It was a very, very good game from Immanuel Quickley on all fronts. The creation, the shot making, the playmaking, it was all there. It was a perfect game from IQ. And I truthfully, it's like, I hope that this was the catalyst to have more games like this. And I wonder if there's a vision where you can see him playing next to another guard, whether that is Jamal Shed, whether you end up trading for another guard, whatever it is. Maybe this Raptors front office can look at games like this and envision a world where Quickley is this off-ball, dominant scorer, which we saw tonight. That's the version that I think Immanuel Quickley and truthfully the Raptors can get the most. That being said, there will always be pick and roll opportunities for him. There will always be dribble handoff opportunities for him. Again, I thought him and Scotty Barnes had a very good connection in the pick and roll tonight. It worked well because the Warriors had no size. And truthfully, that helped the Raptors win this game. Now, let's talk about the rest of the game. The Raptors dominated to start that half. Shooting was a big part of it, 21 threes. I thought Scotty Barnes, especially in that first half, really imposed his will. He had 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. He also did that on 18 shots. Scotty was excellent. Brandon Ingram also knocked down 4 threes. Grady was pretty good in this game. He knocked down 2 threes himself. Mamu was very, very good. He's continuing a good West Coast road trip for them. Had that big game versus the Lakers. Had another big game tonight. 14 points and 12 rebounds for Mamu, including 4 assists and 2 steals. This was a game where I thought the Raptors offense just absolutely dominated in that first half, and it gave them a cushion to be able to mess around and try certain things in the second half. They lost the lead. They played very lackadaisically in that second half. There were some very, very bad passes and turnovers from Jamal Shed and Scotty Barnes, especially in that fourth quarter where it felt like they were playing around and they weren't taking the game seriously, or they weren't taking the Warriors' comeback seriously. And again, it was Immanuel Quickley who came in and calmed that storm. So kind of a tale of two halves here where the Raptors got out to such a big lead. And it's always weird when you know the game is over very early, right? I honestly, after the first quarter, I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be a pretty easy night for the Raptors. It's funny when those type of games happen because the game now becomes, okay, how much rest can you get for your players? And unfortunately, the Raptors, who were heading into the second night of a back-to-back against the Sacramento Kings, did not get much rest for their players. 38 minutes for Scotty Barnes, 36 minutes for Brandon Ingram, 33 minutes for Immanuel Quickley. Now, Danielle Michaud of Sportsnet reported on the broadcast that RJ Barrett is hoping to be back versus the Sacramento Kings. Michael Grange also reported that Colin Murray-Boyles is getting extra imaging on his thumb. Hopefully it's not too serious. I would be surprised if CMB ends up coming back at any point in this West Coast road trip. They would have mentioned something along the lines of that, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be coming back at least before this road trip is over. Seems like RJ Barrett is coming back, and there is absolutely no update on Jakob Poeltl. So we have no idea what's going on there. Folks, there are just 7 games until the trade deadline for the Toronto Raptors now. They have 3 more games in this West Coast road trip, and then they go back home for a 5-game stretch. Very interested to see what shakes out over this 7-game stretch for the Raptors. As I've mentioned, it's a stretch of truth, a moment of truth for the Raptors to see what they're made of here, especially as they're dealing with injuries. It is a huge testament that Immanuel Quickley had this type of game and this type of moment where, all things considered, considering the injuries for the Raptors, they could have folded in a game like this, but they didn't, and that is truthfully a big testament to the guy, IQ Call 5. Folks, as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel. We're going to be back for the Kings game on Wednesday. A little reunion game with Precious Achiuwa and DeMar DeRozan and the likes. Doug Christie for the older fans here. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you for the next one. IQ with a 40 burger. Unreal. Love that game. See you guys later. Bye.